If I'd have been there and given them the reasons we broke up, they might not have given her the release.
It started as a whisper, just the name, a name the wives had never encountered previously, but one that would soon explode through their lives like dynamite tossed into a powder keg. Her name was Serena, late 20s, long, sleek black hair, eyes piercing enough to slice, and a social media presence that could make a stranger an overnight sensation. Christine was the first to realize something was amiss. $7,400 disappeared, vanished from their real estate account, hidden under the nebulous title of Wellness Retreat. That evening, browsing Instagram, the truth started to reveal itself. A yoga studio's photo. Serena, clothed in a white robe, and next to her, a man with curls Christine was all too familiar with, Kody. Her gut dropped. More photos arrived, his arm over Serena's shoulder. A kiss captured on film, erased too late. Christine drove in silence to Janelle's house, screenshots scorching her hands. A moment later, Mary phoned. She'd gotten a hotel reservation in Kody's name. Then Robyn appeared at Christine's door, her face white. She had discovered perfume on his shirt, one long blonde strand of hair in his truck, and worse, a velvet ring box with 4 words laser engraved into it, "To my moon forever." That evening, the 4 women sat together. No cameras, no producers, just them, and the silence hanging between them like a storm gathering on the horizon. Janelle had called an accountant, and their table was soon cluttered with incriminating documents, transfers into Serena's accounts, upscale vacations, even a wedding planner invoice. Then came the knockout punch. Christine's Sedona friend found a marriage certificate, Kody Brown and Serena Walker, filed in secret, signed by a forged witness, Robyn Brown. The betrayal was not only personal, it was illegal. By dawn, the wives were in an attorney's office. Christine placed the photos on the desk, Janelle the bank statements, Robyn the ring box, Mary her voice firm, "We want to sue." Fraud, misuse of identity, emotional abuse, even polygamy law violations. The attorneys didn't flinch. 2 days and a case was constructed, 5 counts of economic fraud, 2 of identity theft, emotional abuse, and on and on. Christine first, Janelle second, Mary third, and last Robyn, betrayed most of all but willing to go against the man she once spoke up for. News spread like wildfire. Kody Brown's secret 5th wife scandal went viral globally. Reddit went wild, headlines shouted betrayal, and yet Kody remained silent. No apology, no denial, because deep inside he knew, Serena knew, they had been caught. No sneaking around the cameras this time. The wives were finished. The lawsuits were genuine. Kody Brown's fall from grace had already commenced. The courtroom was redolent of varnished wood and betrayal. 4 women once united in a shared husband were now united in a common purpose. The downfall of him, publicly and legally. It began at daybreak, when the lawsuit was delivered straight onto Kody's front porch in Flagstaff. He was drinking his coffee, still, with Serena sitting next to him, when the documents tumbled into his lap. Fraud, misuse of identity, embezzlement. The accusations glared back at him in capital black letters. His complexion turned ashen. Serena's smile wavered. From that moment, the world was aware. Cameras covered the courthouse. Strangers stood with signs, "Justice for the sister wives." Kody lied. Inside, a powerhouse squad of women lawyers, referred to as the Desert Law Queens, worked on their case. Boxes heaped high with proof, wire transfers, emails, LLC records, marriage certificates, even a wedding registry from Sedona marked Kody and Serena's new life. The deception was no longer hidden. It was now a test, and the downfall of Kody Brown had just started. The initial court appearance came like a storm everyone knew was coming. The waiting room was crowded wall to wall, every seat taken, every eye watching. TLC might have declined to capture it, but that didn't count. From CNN to TMZ, all the outlets were live tweeting, recording every slight shift of emotion. Christine arrived first, calm in a pale navy suit. Her expression revealed nothing, no smiles, no tears, only stubborn resolve. Janelle arrived next, arms wrapped around her folders with the burden of truth as protection. Mary marched with chin uplifted, eyes tearing about the room with determination as if challenging anyone to question her. And finally, Robyn, late, by herself, shrouded in black, sunglasses concealing a tale only she could tell. When the judge walked in, the atmosphere changed. The theatrics were over. This was not reality TV anymore. This was accountability. A civil case with high stakes enough to bleed into federal indictment. "Present, Your Honor," they all said as their names were read. 4 voices, 4 truths. And then there was Kody, slumping, fidgeting, his defense attorney every bit as tired as his client. Cameras recorded his agitated tapping, the nervous jut of his jaw. Christine was the first to take the stand. She didn't stutter. She mapped the betrayal from the silence in the house to the explosion in court, And then she cut deeper. He didn't just lie to us. He used our faith as cover for his lies. He took what we worked for our children, for our future, and he spent it on vacations, houses, and vows to another woman. The words hit like punches, and the judge leaned forward, taking every note. Janelle brought up the rear, meticulous, each fact honed to a point. She sat out the LLC, their business, their houses, the property at Coyote Pass, even their retirement accounts. And then she showed the path, Kody tapping credit lines into Serena's spa venture in California, marking it as legacy, emails demonstrating him directing her to hide Serena's costs beneath tax deductions. Gasps filled the courtroom. The judge instructed an on-the-spot forensic audit. Then Mary got up. Her testimony wasn't about statistics, it was about scars. She read aloud from diary entries, her voice breaking as she recounted the years of loneliness. 6 years of not even being able to hold his hand, while he pledged growth and in secret plotted out another wedding. And then the punch to the gut. Kody had broken into her email, diverting TLC residuals into a fictional company, Wellspring Inc. The funds tracked directly to Serena. Murmurs filled the room, until the judge's gavel struck for silence. But the instant that paralyzed the room was when Robyn got on the stand. Her voice shook, but her hold on the velvet ring box never wavered. "This was never for me," she stated, then fixed Kody straight in the eye. "You forged my name to wed another woman." The room became quiet. The stenographer even hesitated. The judge insisted on seeing the marriage license. In no time, a handwriting analyst verified it. The signature was forged. Robyn's name, taken for a wedding she never agreed to. All of a sudden, this wasn't merely betrayal, it was possible criminal fraud. By the time the gavel came down on day one, there was amazement vibrating through the courtroom like radio static. There were reporters swarming outside. Kody made a silent retreat, dodging cameras. But his wives, no longer wives, exited side by side. Plaintiffs now, survivors of deceit, emerging into the light as warriors for justice. The judge wasn't done. Before he adjourned, he froze all Brown family LLC accounts, all properties belonging to Kody, even his TLC earnings. And then came the coup de grace, Serena Walker, subpoenaed as a material witness. The tale was no longer in whispers and screenshots. It was now tied up by law, and the battle had just begun. The web went into high gear. Hashtags flashed across timelines everywhere. #Kody on trial, wife strike catching fire. On courthouse steps, the murmurs grew louder now. If Kody had violated both state and federal law, an arrest warrant could be on the way. That afternoon, the wives piled into one black SUV, their faces passing under the flash of cameras. Exhausted, bruised, but at last free. By week 2, the courtroom lights themselves seemed harsher, as though they too had tired of the deception. Christine again stood on the witness stand, but now she was there to face cross-examination. She stood firm, her voice strong, only weakening once. When describing the evening, she overheard the gossip. Serena's pregnancy. A rumor from Sedona's health set that pierced Christine like a second betrayal. Kody hadn't simply lied. He was constructing a new family, yet still chained to the one he had left behind. The gallery shook with outrage. Then Janelle produced the proof nobody had anticipated, an email. Months prior to the suit, Kody's text in black and white. "Once the money's transferred, we can head to Utah and never look back. Don't worry, the wives will get through." The courtroom was silent. Those words, "the wives will survive," stung deeper than any slur, shrinking away decades of love, loyalty, and sacrifice to an afterthought. The judge leaned forward and demanded Janelle read it again. She did slowly, each word ringing out into the still room while Kody sat rigid, arms crossed, unwilling to glance at the children sitting quietly in the gallery. Mary trailed behind. She read journal entries, uncooked and heartbreaking. In one she admitted, "I used to pray for him, now I pray to forget him." The room changed. Even the clerk, attempting to maintain composure, grabbed a tissue. And then Robyn, her electronic proof casting for all eyes to see. Her identity stolen, her signature taken from a 2021 tax return pasted onto a marriage license. No accident at all. A forensic expert attested to it, plain manipulation, outright fraud. When Robyn testified, the transformation was startling. The wife once most loyal to Kody now stood against him. She spoke of chilling conversations, including one just before the secret wedding. "You'll always be my legal wife on paper," Kody had told her, "but Serena is my real future." When the judge asked whether that made her feel complicit, Robyn's response broke open the room. Speaking through tears, she said, "It made me feel disposable." Gasps were heard. Kody shifted uncomfortably, furiously scribbling on a yellow pad, as if writing could protect him from the reality unfolding before him. And just when the courtroom couldn't possibly get any heavier, Christine's lawyers dropped a bombshell. They summoned an unexpected witness, a private investigator who'd been stalking Kody for 6 weeks. He rolled in a projector, turned the lights down, and what he next uncovered would shake everything to its core. The lights went down, and the private investigator's tape rolled onto the screen. There was Kody, arm in arm with Serena, into an estate agency. His voice as plain as day. "This is my legal wife." And then another clip, Kody explaining to an escrow officer that he was unattached aside from one paperwork issue. The room tensed up. And the voicemail, Kody's voice on a burner, nervous, breathless. "Delete this after you listen. I believe the judge is snooping around our accounts." Pandemonium broke out. Journalists scribbled furiously, gasps filled the room, and the judge pounded his gavel, calling for order. Kody's lawyer pleaded for a recess. Denied. The judge's words stung like a verdict of their own. "Mr. Brown, you are not in charge here anymore." And from that moment, it was different. This was no longer a sloppy family soap. It was the disintegration of a man under the force of his own deception. When Kody was finally summoned to the stand, the room prepared itself. He came slowly, still wrapping himself in arrogance, but his sharp edges blunted. Under oath, flanked by lawyers, he met the question directly. Did you, or did you not, create the fake signature of Robyn Brown on the marriage license that was presented to the state of Nevada? 6 seconds of silence, 6 eternal seconds, and then, "I don't remember." Gasp. The prosecution thumped the photograph of the fake signature onto the stand, side by side with Robyn's actual one. The curves, the pressure points, the same. Wellspring Inc. came next. "Did you set up this shell company to send money from the family LLC into your own bank account?" Kody shrugged. It was a placeholder business. But when the judge read out that Wellspring had taken in $118,000 in TLC royalties in less than a year, Kody's face went white. His ex-wives shook their heads in horror, their revulsion now unmistakable. Then came the moment that pierced through every veil of courtroom propriety. The judge permitted an unprecedented gesture, a collective statement, drafted and signed by the 4 women. Their attorney read it into the record. "We gave him our youth, our faith, our trust, and our children. He gave us lies, financial destruction, and emotional devastation." The gallery erupted into a wave of gasps, the collective sigh of heartbreak ringing off the walls. The judge himself appeared shaken, declaring a 10-minute recess. During that break, the prosecution moved their most daring step yet, filing an emergency motion to turn over all proof of forgery and financial wrongdoing to the district attorney. Suddenly, Kody wasn't merely defending against civil damages. He was looking at the prospect of prison. And then, still another twist. The doors swung open. Serena emerged. No warning, no build-up, just her, upright affidavit in front of her. In it, she confessed she hadn't learned about the other wives until 3 weeks into her marriage. When she demanded answers from Kody, his reply was appallingly straightforward. "They're just holding on to the past." She presented texts, voice messages, bank printouts, proof of manipulation, dishonesty, and fear. In one audio clip, Kody's words sliced through the courtroom like a knife. "If this ever comes out, they'll crucify me on TV." The judge tilted forward, his eye burning on Kody. His tone, steady but brutal. "Mr. Brown, it seems the crucifixion has already begun." As court adjourned for the day, fresh motions hung over the horizon like thunderclouds, freezing Kody's personal holdings, drawing communications records with TLC. Out front, the media thronged, anticipating the man who had once peddled the world an empire of love, now observing that empire crumble brick by brick from the inside out. 4 women, once his pillar, now his fiercest adversaries, equipped not with retribution, but with truth. By session 4, the atmosphere in the courtroom had changed. Heavy, thick, everyone felt it, the finish was coming. And when Kody walked in, something was off. No Serena, no files, no refined swagger, just him, slouching shoulders, pressed lips, empty eyes. For the first time, he appeared to be a man who knew. His kingdom of charm and anarchy was wreckage at his feet. Today he would have to talk, not to charm, not to evade, but under oath. When the judge instructed him to swear the truth, he hesitated by a beat too long, as if the words themselves seared his tongue. Then, with reluctance, he swore. His attorney started gently, questions filled with sympathy. They depicted Kody as overwhelmed, swept up into the 5th wedding by passion. Kody hunched forward, speaking in a low tone. "I didn't mean to hurt anybody. I just listened to my heart." Christine laughed derisively. Robyn rolled her eyes. Janelle leaned forward as if she dared him to continue, and he did, stupidly. He was questioned regarding the counterfeit signature, and Kody began a meandering diatribe on family bureaucracy, arguing that polygamy was religious, not secular. The words shook the room, because that counterfeit signature had been given to the state of Nevada, a crime etched in law. The judge interrupted. "Are you saying you forged her signature?" Kody's face reddened, sweat glistening. "I thought it was harmless," he snarled. Whispers circulated throughout the courtroom. Reporters' fingers moved rapidly. The aide to the district attorney leaned over to the chief prosecutor, whispering angrily. The judge was visibly shaken, insisting those words, word for word, be inserted into the record. And then came the hammer. Cross-examination. The prosecutor didn't dawdle, bringing up texts Kody had sent to Serena. Don't worry, Robyn's signature will never be an issue. She signs off on everything I give her. The conflict was savage. Intent, admitted. Kody stumbled. It was sarcasm. The prosecutor pounced. So what you're telling this court is that your financial records, your marriage licenses, your legal documents are jokes. Silence. Kody's hands trembled, his words failing him. His wives watched from the gallery, eyes locked as the man who once controlled their every move unraveled before them. And then the clip. A snippet of TLC tape never intended to be seen. Kody off camera, with his head inclined towards a producer, smirking and unself-conscious. I control everything, don't I? I have to keep them in line. The video resonated in the courtroom, stripping away every justification, every pretense. Gasps were heard, even from those who had previously defended him. The mask had slipped, and revealed standing there was not a man misinterpreted. It was a man trapped in his own ruin. He was no longer the charming patriarch of TV. He was a man who willingly acknowledged control, manipulation, bending his family into pieces for his own authority. And when the judge, her jaw clamped hard as stone, turned to him and asked, was this love or was this control? Kody sat bricked, hollowed out, and whispered the only truth remaining in him, maybe both. That took the room apart. Even the security officer, stoic throughout every gasp of dismay and objection, whipped his head around, unable to bear to look anymore. But the prosecution wasn't finished yet. They brought in two of Kody's own adult children to testify, and what was given was the most heart-crushing testimony so far. One daughter, quivering but firm, gazed straight at her father and said, "He loved the cameras more than us." A son trailed behind, tears streaming his face as he whispered, "He told us, anytime our moms cried, they were just dramatics." The judge laid her pen down. No more scribbles, just silence as she looked at the man in front of her, taking in each raw wound bared. Then came the knockout blow. The prosecution closed their case with a single slide, a list of every falsified document, every redirection of funds, every scheme etched into record. And then, with the weight of a dagger, they revealed a line from Kody's private journal, seized from his truck. "As long as they don't unite, I'll always have the advantage." The letters, written by his own hand, were not merely proof, they were confession, they were the architect of betrayal. After court recessed, silence was oppressive. No one spoke to Kody, no lawyer, no Serena, not even the wives who had once shared his name. He sat there alone, looking out at a room already convinced. He had no more authority, no more wives, and soon no more freedom. The last day of testimony finally came. The courtroom was filled to capacity. Reporters, estranged family members, former admirers, all shoulder to shoulder waiting to see the downfall of a man who had once been portrayed as the proud father of a plural household, now revealed as a manipulator who had nothing to hide anymore. And when the judge returned after close to 24 hours of deliberation, the silence was choking. The air itself appeared to catch its breath. She walked in with a pile of files under her arm, glasses sitting firmly atop unblinking, sharp eyes. The room came to a standstill as she uttered the first words. This has been, without question, one of the most emotionally nuanced and legally complicated cases this court has ever had the privilege of presiding over. Each sound was extinguished in an instant. Serena tapped her nails in restless time from the back row. Robyn wiped away a tear before it fell. And Kody, shoulders slumped, head down, sat next to a lawyer who seemed as if even he had lost hope. The judge's voice cleared the air as she read the indictments off one by one. The use of LLC money fraudulently, admitted. Identity forgery, admitted beyond a shadow of a doubt. Emotional coercion by spiritual manipulation, not against the law but ethically despicable. Financial abuse, employing possession of jointly held assets as covert marital benefit, corroborated via forensic audit. Every word fell like a bell ringing at a funeral, and with each reverberation, Kody slid further into his chair, his previous Uberimo's sureness melting into naught but the faded carpet before him. The skin on the back of Kody's neck reddened as cameras outside swung into action, reporters racing to craft their headlines on the fly. But nobody, not the media, not even the plaintiffs themselves, anticipated what happened next. The judge wasn't done, not even close. Her tone fell lower, firmer, when she was talking of wounds that you couldn't add up on a ledger. This court acknowledges that these four women did not just lose money, she said, but the incremental dismantling of their autonomy, their self-worth, and their trust, under a doctrine that has been used to justify deception. And then she looked straight at Christine, at Janelle, at Mary, at Robyn, her eyes not blinking. "You are not merely claimants in a case," she told them. "You are survivors of emotional warfare." And in that instant, something changed. Christine took Robyn's hand under the table. Mary, steadfast to the end, closed her eyes and allowed a single tear to slip. Janelle whispered softly in affirmation, nearly mouthing it. "Finally, someone sees it." But before the gravity of those words could even land, the judge administered another blow, one that rocked the room with shock. Along with the civil conclusions, she was sending the case on for criminal consideration. Willful document falsification, marital status misrepresentation from state to state, suspected tax fraud. The courtroom exploded. Whispers flew like sparks. Photographers dived for their phones. TLC executives frantically texted under the tables. This wasn't merely a courtroom loss. This was a live TV meltdown into legal oblivion. And then there was the gavel, one hit as sharp as thunder. "Mr. Brown," the judge announced, "due to the findings of this court, and with the complete cooperation of the Flagstaff District Attorney, you are remanded into custody pending formal criminal charges." The wood crack silenced all. The gasp that followed was immediate, sharp, unified, as if the room itself had drawn in pain. A bailiff moved forward. "Sir, please stand." For a brief moment, Kody stalled. He scanned the room, his eyes pleading, begging. Perhaps someone would rise. Perhaps someone would stand up for him. Perhaps someone would rescue him. But no one got up. Not his lawyer, not Serena, not the wives, not even Robyn. And when the icy cuffs closed over his wrists, the sound was like iron clanging against heritage. The judge's voice one final time. "This case is not about the legality of plural marriage. It is about illegal conduct under the guise of spiritual leadership." The doors burst open and flashes exploded like firecrackers. Kody Brown, the formerly spit-shined vision of family harmony, was marched out, not as a husband, not as a star, but as a man accused, exposed, at last brought to justice. Outside, the courthouse stairs shook under the crowd, protesters and supporters shoulder to shoulder, holding signs that cried, "Protect the wives. Truth wins. No more silence." Inside, the women didn't stir at first. They sat, allowing the silence to breathe, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. Then, slowly, each stood. Christine engulfed Mary in her arms. Janelle put a steadying hand on Robyn's shoulder. They weren't shattered wives anymore. They were survivors, scarred, yes, but unbroken. And together, they walked out a side door, hand in hand, warriors leaving the battlefield. As they passed, the court clerk whispered to a coworker, "This is history." And she was right, because what had occurred in that room was more than a verdict. It was the breakdown of control, the ascension of truth, and the final reauthoring of a family tale, once spoken by one voice, now recovered by the women who were brave enough to speak it out loud.